Imagine making one of the most beautiful and fun Call of Duty games ever, only to leave it on a cliffhanger, face insane amounts of criticism, and never make a sequel. That just so happens to be the tragedy of Call of Duty Ghosts. Cod Ghosts was absolutely hated upon its release. I mean, it was really criticized.
I examine games for what they are, and Call of Duty Ghosts
directly
is bad.
after the
I'm here to
insanely
explain
popular
why.
MW3 and Black Ops 2.
There is no amount of
Cod Ghosts
stealth
had the
or
advantage
white
of
smoke
releasing into
that
a
can cloak
generally
this
happy,
game's reputation.
I got a little
Fans were still
belligerent
pretty
on
mixed about
this.
modern.
And it wasn't like when a Halo game sucks and all the die-hard Halo fans cope and try to say it was an amazing game. This is Call of Duty, and the fanbase didn't care enough to cope. But why? Well, let's just say people still had mixed feelings about recent COD titles, and the mass populace of stinky gamers rotting to death in their mom's basement take this whole Call of Duty thing seriously. So before the release of Ghosts, it was really time for Infinity Ward to strap in and make an amazing Call of Duty. Things looked promising too. Ultra high-res dog model, beautiful graphics, and its story is by an Academy Award-winning writer. Wowzers, this game is gonna be great. Oh. But the fish move!
Have fish move out of the way when you get close to them.
This is groundbreaking. Well, let's just move into the campaign, because surely it can't be that bad. We start out with a story about 60 soldiers sent to fight 500 soldiers, and after a while, the 60 men became 15. And though it was a losing battle, the 15 men managed to defeat the 500 through brutal tactics and impeccable stealth.
And this really happened.
Yes, of course this happened. The game is called Ghosts, you dumbass.
You don't honestly believe that story's true?
Yeah, I do.
I sure wonder why.
Come on, let's head back to the house.
Dad, let's just get to the house, make sure nothing got damaged.
I really do like the whole 0 to 100 thing. The whole scene reminds me of a certain game. But here, everything feels so dull and lame. At least in Far Cry 5, people were screaming and there was rock music and everything went batshit. But here, we seem to be totally okay with the fact that our house is collapsing in on itself and wowee! We're in space. Why is bro mogging me? This whole space section was pretty cool in my opinion, but something that always bugged me was that we were just shooting guns in space. Whenever you miss a bullet, that is a very fast projectile that will travel in whatever direction it was shot in until it hits something. I feel like this is very irresponsible. Alright, so nerd time. There would be no real reason for this rifle to be a bullpup. In real life, the practicality for a bullpup comes mostly from the fact that you can have a longer barrel length in a rifle similarly sized to other rifles, and a longer barrel length results in more time for the bullet to speed up, which really helps when you want your bullet to travel further, but that doesn't really matter when you're in space, because the bullet will never slow down. And this is a space-specific rifle, so what's the point? I know that's nitpicking, but that's also what I do.
Targeting Houston. Locked. Targeting Miami. Locked.
Dexter, no! Alright, so here's our first major gripe of the writing in this game. How did the Federation fire Odin? The Federation's motives, or lack thereof, will be further griped upon in the later parts of this video, but as for right now, how the hell did the Federation fire Odin? This is a highly destructive space weapon. You'd think it would have better security in place, but even disregarding that, why was Odin even able to fire at the US? It was made by the US. You'd think there would be some strict safeties put in place to prevent Odin from ever being able to do that. And then, you know, big sacrifices, whatever. We run through some crazy stuff and sick-ass slide. Number 1. We run through some more crazy stuff and BAM! Cutscene that's supposed to explain why and how the Federation would do this. Apparently, the Federation fired Odin at the US in an attempt to cripple them, but it didn't work. Maybe because Miami, Florida isn't exactly vital to the US military. It goes into very shallow detail on how and why the Federation rose to power, basically saying, big scary power outage caused an evil world superpower to rise, but I would have loved a little more explanation. In Halo, I will never stop comparing things to Halo, the Covenant became powerful because there was a religious motive. In Skyrim, the Stormcloaks, the good guys, became powerful because there was a racist motive and a religious motive. In Far Cry 5, Eden's Gate became powerful because there was a religious motive. My point is, these factions work well because their rise to power makes sense, or at the very least, has a reason behind it. But the Federation rose to power just because. The first mission consists of killing some bad guys, finding your father, and getting sent to the oh-so-scary No Man's Land. We get our first look at being able to play as the doggy, which is something we'll see a good amount of in this level. I honestly really like it as a mechanic. It's just so sweet watching this dog pounce bad guys. The game does really well with its environmental design. The design of the No Man's Land feels perfect. It has the perfect amount of old, dead plant life and new plant life. I also really like how it isn't just a post-nuclear apocalypse either. Because the destruction was caused by Odin firing massive metal piss missiles into Earth's surface, it has these new ledges and cliffs that over time have settled, somewhat, into an entirely new landscape. It's an amazing and really unique depiction of the post-apocalypse. Now, I do like the dog stealth section, but I think it could have been done better. You're telling me no one heard this, or saw it? They made this perfect little area that you could climb up to ambush the bad guy, and they just won't let you go up to it. We fight through some more bad guys, and then use the doggy to spy in on enemy activities. And we discover that this bad guy named Rourke has captured this feller with a sick-ass skull mask on. Then we run into the most deadly adversary you could think of. Wolves. You can take hundreds of bad guys with guns and be shot multiple times, but wolves? That's the real enemy. Then another guy with a sick-ass skull mask, some might say the sickest, shows up and kills all the big bad wolves. Tell me why they run away from him and not you. Is he the wolf whisperer or something? Now, what's better than one guy with a sick-ass skull mask? Two guys with a sick-ass skull mask. More bad guys killing, and on to the next level. Ah yes, my favorite 50 caliber remote sniper, the SVD. We see our gang getting tortured and we go in to save him. We find him, and he dies, but not before giving us some valuable information. We find out that Rourke, the guy from earlier, is hunting down ghosts. Riley does the coolest thing in history, and we escape somehow. The next mission is just some crazy combat filler up until the end. Logan, the player character, who's also a mute, I don't know how I haven't mentioned that yet. Logan gets stabbed in the chest, but it's okay.
Looks worse than it is. You're gonna be okay.
It never gets brought up again for some reason. Sick-ass skull mask guys save our booty cheeks, and we get the most shocking reveal ever.
But your father's not there anymore.
What? Okay, so we're ghosts now, apparently, whatever that means. The next mission is just the backstory of Rourke. The dam breaks open, and we get a pretty cool sequence of trying to outrun the water level. We shoot some bad guys, and Rourke's dumbass falls into the river. Then we get the coolest mission ever. We zipline onto a building to gather intel, but we don't just zipline. We get to rappel down the side of it and shoot bad guys through the windows. Then we break in, hack into the building's thingamabob, and kill the lights in the building, which I don't really get the purpose of, because the whole point was that the lights inside was masking us on the outside, but whatever. We kill a ton of bad guys, and then beat the piss out of this stupid guy who gives us Rourke's location. The building gets silver-steined, and we parachute out that hoe. The next mission consists of going to Rourke's location and capturing him. We then learn about how Rourke was tortured and brainwashed by the Federation. Rourke makes a great escape, what a surprise, and we parachute into the jungle. We regroup, kill some bad guys, again, and then escape the jungle. Our next mission is Operation Clockwork, and it's a great example of what I wish we saw more of in Ghosts. We dress up as Federation members and infiltrate an underground facility. There's an amazing sequence where we go deeper into the facility as the power down counter starts to tick down. Once the power is out, we use our night vision, which wouldn't really work because underground there isn't any infrared. And we kill a bunch of Federation guys. There's a cool vault drilling sequence and then a firefight section where we download some data and then we start to act like the Federation again. And there's a really cool sequence of us blending back in, and then for some unknown reason, there just has to be a massive run-and-gun vehicle combat section before we escape. Which kinda sucks, in my opinion. They went through all of this effort to blend in with the Federation, and it just gets thrown away but whatever. After that, there's a bunch of filler missions. The missions were alright. They were decently fun to play, but I didn't feel like they contributed to the story much at all. Up until the last few missions. So let's go over it. Rourke captures the gang. Oh no! And he shoots you. But it's fine, because you forget about it 4 seconds later. Because Rourke shoots your papa. Oh no! Then there's some cool fighting, escape stuff. Big surprise. And we're real angry at Rourke, so it's time for some payback. Then we get a sick-ass tank run that will make even Halo 3 jealous. There's some more space combat for some reason, and then we board a train that Rourke is on. We find Rourke. Somehow he beats the living shit out of 2 guys with guns, but whatever. And Hesh doesn't shoot him, even though he clearly has the chance to. We order an Odin strike on our position and kill Rourke. Like we clearly shoot him in the chest with a .44 Magnum. I mean, you can clearly see his lifeless body floating in the water right here. Then we get out of the train and have a nice gander on the beach because we're so joyous about our victory. But wait, there's more. Remember how I said the game ends on a cliffhanger? Well, as it turns out, Rourke survived a .44 Magnum to the chest. Not only did he survive it, but he swam out of an underwater train, went the long way to get around us, and somehow managed to sneak up on us, and on top of all of this, is able to overpower 2 grown men and drag Logan away. After being shot in the bare chest with a .44 Magnum. The game was fun when I was 10, and it's still fun to this day, but in hindsight, the story was trash, and I was merely blinded by the cool skull masks. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna go play a game with the other cool skull mask guy.
I'm going to do something unspeakable.